Good morning, everyone. Let's talk about the future of digital business. And in order to do that, I'd like to use an analogy of electric cars and autonomous vehicles. I believe there are three big new opportunities that we can use these great new technologies inside our organizations. The first is to get greater visibility. Autonomous vehicles use LiDAR, so they can literally see in the dark. Now, inside our organizations, we can use cheaper sensors, the Internet of Things, to get visibility into previously unseen business processes. So we can analyze and optimize all of that data. We can collect and connect data across silos in new ways and detect previously unseen patterns. But having data isn't enough. What's important is to know what's important. Autonomous vehicles are gathering vast amounts of information in real time, but they're also calculating the trajectories of every other vehicle on the road and pedestrians to make sure that they know where they stand compared to everybody else. We need to do the same thing in our organizations. We can predict the likely outcomes of different business decisions so we can make the best use of our scarce resources. And it's not enough to have the data, even to know what's going to happen. What we also need is agility. Watch carefully. Nice and loud, please. Let's try again. Nice and loud audio. Thank you. Ouch. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't see that accident happening before I heard the beep. That was the Tesla autopilot detecting an accident, but more importantly, it was able to slam on the brakes in something like 0.3 of a second, 10 times faster than a human being. Now, we have accidents every day in business. A production problem, a customer delivery that's late, a badly written invoice. What's important is to be able to act in real time and fix that problem before we crash, before we affect that final customer experience. So we can bring all of these things together and we start getting the autonomous vehicles of the future. This is the Tesla autopilot in action, and it's using sensors, the Internet of Things, to gather vast amounts of big data, and then it's using analytics and algorithms and machine learning to turn all of that data into a superior driving experience. And that's a lot of what digital is all about, using technology to take your existing services and make them even better. But Tesla's taking it to a whole new level. The data from each car is shared with every other car on the road. So this means that if I have a Tesla, it's benefiting from the constantly updated global knowledge of the system as a whole. I can drive down a street, and even if I've never driven down that street before, if somebody else has, the car knows how to negotiate it in an optimal way. So this means that the Tesla driving experience is actually automatically getting better over time as people drive their cars. Now, this has been amazingly successful for Tesla. They overtook General Motors last year to become the largest US automobile company, even though General Motors makes 100 times more cars. So why is Tesla so valuable? Well, partly, of course, it's because they make great cars. But it's also because they're collecting the #1 asset of the future, and that's data. McKinsey believes that the data gathered by these vehicles is going to be worth $750 billion a year in 10 years' time. So, how about you? Hands up if your organization has products, services, and processes that automatically get better over time as you use them. Not many hands up. Hands up if you hate presenters, to put your hands up even just to see if you're still awake. Hands up if you're not going to put the hands up no matter what I say for the rest of this presentation. Now, I know this sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But we've got real examples of it, of organizations doing this around the world, and we're going to talk about more of them in the Intelligent Enterprise track later today. So what are these intelligent technologies? What do they work? Well, the core one that I'm excited about is machine learning. And really, that's about learning through trial and error. It's sort of the same way as we do. Here's an experiment from Google Mind. They gave this little guy some legs, and really, they just said, hey, here's how to walk, and then they put an obstacle course in place, and then they just did it through trial and error. And this poor little guy had to learn how to jump and duck all the way through the course. So he wasn't programmed how to do this. Here's another one. They tortured this poor fellow. So basically, you get every time you do it right, then you learn something. Every time you do it wrong, then you try again. So little by little, this poor guy managed to navigate the course. Didn't always do it in a very stylish way, but ultimately managed to succeed using these new technologies. Now, of course, this is the core now of a lot of what we're seeing in terms of innovation around the world. So robots, for example, this is the Atlas robot and here it is clearly learning by trial and error. This would be the error part. But the reality is that robots are already part of the supply chain in lots of different organizations. We're working with companies around the world that have these types of robots, for example, that are in warehouses. So each robot can work alone, but they can work in swarms, where they can actually figure out how to move things from one place to another by working as groups. So companies like Alibaba and Amazon use this. And we're working with companies to integrate that into the SAP Extended Warehouse Management. This is Fetch Robots, a startup in California that we're working with. They have a whole series of robots that are designed to work alongside people. So basically, this is about artificial intelligence augmenting humans. So we have humans doing a job, artificial intelligence powering the robots, but helping them do that job just more effectively. And that's one of the themes that we're starting to see throughout every economy and every type of industry. So here's a nice example from agriculture. Stara, they make agricultural equipment. But these things are starting to turn into robots themselves. So Stara has used the Internet of Things platform from SAP Leonardo to change from being somebody who sells tractors to selling integrated digital farming systems. So sensors, for example, can detect exactly how much fertilizer each individual plant needs, and it gives it just the right amount. This is good news because it saves a lot of fertilizer. This makes farming more profitable for the farmers, so that's great news for Stara. But of course, it's great news for the planet as a whole because it's making farming more sustainable. It's a nice example of the win-win-win opportunities that we have with better use of data. But artificial intelligence is also doing some amazing things in terms of image recognition. Here's a fun one. I don't know about you, but I've always wanted to dance Swan Lake. So here we have a professional doing her job, and then you have two people in an office who don't know what they're doing, but you take lots of videos, and then you map one onto the other. And hey presto, we can now all dance Swan Lake perfectly using the movements from the expert. And we're starting to see this as well. So salespeople, for example, helping every salesperson in your organization be as good as the best salespeople. Now, we're starting to see the creation of fake images. So hands up if you think the image on the left is fake. Come on, this is the audience interaction part. Who thinks it's the image on the left? Okay, thank you. And who thinks it's the image on the right that's the fake one? Okay, more of you. All right. And who thinks I tried to trick you by putting two fake images? All right, so these are generated by generative adversarial networks. So these are basically two sets of networks that are fighting with each other. One is trying to create fake images, and the other one is trying to detect fake images. So they actually, you put them together, and over 1,000 generations, they come up with faces that are near perfect. Now, this actually points at some of the issues we need to deal with as a society, because these technologies are very powerful. Unfortunately, we're starting to see deep fakes where we apply this to voice and video. So in a few years' time, if your daughter calls you up and says, "I'm in trouble, can you please send some money quickly?" It might look like your daughter and it might sound like your daughter, but unfortunately, it might be a scam. So as society, we really need to work to ensure that we have the right guidelines in place to make the best use of this powerful technology. But again, we're using it in business today. This is a plantation of a sustainable palm oil that we've been working with. And they've been flying drones across this plantation to take pictures on a regular basis, and then they can use that to figure out exactly how many trees there are, spot any discolorations that might mean that there's attention that needs to be placed to fix the trees, and follow the growth over time. So a great example of using sensors to view something that was previously invisible so that it can be optimized. Here's another lovely example from South Africa. It's an organization called ERP, which in their case stands for Elephants, Rhinos, and People. So it's a not-for-profit that uses the SAP technology to track things like poaching. So they're using these UAVs, these type of drones. They fly it over the areas where they know they're the elephants and the rhinos. And unfortunately, these rhinos and elephants are incredibly valuable if you kill them and take their horns. So they have infrared cameras that they've taken from the US military. They had to have a special certificate to be able to use them. And they're been tracking poachers, so they can do it safely from the sky. These people, unfortunately, have machine guns and so on. So they can track. They've already led to the arrest of something like 20 different poachers over the last year and saved lots and lots of rhinos. So a lovely use of Internet of Things and cloud and image recognition technology with SAP. So who can remember this movie? I know it isn't Tom Cruise. I couldn't afford a picture of Tom Cruise. So that's me wearing sunglasses. Okay, so the movie was Minority Report, and if you remember, it was about this notion of pre-crime, where they would detect that somebody's about to commit a murder, and then they'd swoop in and arrest them before they did. So it turns out that this is kind of possible in real life, except it's mental health care patients, and instead of arresting them, they swoop in and offer them extra help. It's from a company called Harris Logic as part of what they call jail diversion. It's in the US. And what they do is they take lots of data about mental health care patients, the medical system, the justice system, but also the prisons. They bring all of that into a big machine learning model powered by SAP predictive analytics, and it's used to detect the subtle signs that a mental health care patient may need some extra help. That information gets given to the medical professionals who can then intervene before the patient ends up disoriented on the street. All too often, unfortunately, what happens, at least in the US, is the police get called, they turn up with guns drawn, and the mental health care patient ends up in jail, in prison, or worse. And that's the worst thing for everybody. It's obviously bad for the patient, but it's also really bad for the cities themselves. Using this solution, they've been able to save tens of millions of dollars in avoided costs, money that can be used to provide better mental health care for others that need it. Again, win-win use of technology using the latest opportunities. In order to do all that, of course, you need technology. So we have this notion of the intelligent enterprise. 3 areas of technologies that we believe that you need to really thrive in the new economy. We're going to go into more detail in the sessions this afternoon, but at a high level, an integrated suite of cloud applications that are intelligent, that use machine learning from scratch to help you make every process self-improving. A digital platform, so you can gather all of the information you need in a single place to be able to analyze and optimize your customer and employee and partner experience. And finally, all of these great new technologies like machine learning and blockchain and others that we can use to really take our businesses to the next level. And again, what we're really hoping for is at the end of the day, we create this virtuous circle where we're gathering information, storing it and integrating it and getting insights, using that to improve our customers' experience, generating new customers, and creating this virtuous circle where we can all succeed with these self-learning, self-improving processes. So, in conclusion, digital technologies have provided an amazing opportunity to transform the way we do business. But it's not only about business. I believe we also have an opportunity to create truly win-win-win opportunities. So where we're improving customer outcomes, and we're becoming more efficient, and we're increasing profits, but we're also helping the world be a better place. It's not only about profits and purpose. We believe that now more than ever, being the best means making a difference in the world. We would like to help you become best-run companies. Why? Because we believe best-run companies can help the world run better. We'd like to help you find and optimize your purpose, help your organization do its part to make us all better off. Thank you very much for your time.